Hello, everybody. My name is Sven Gilkey, District Director for the North Cascades District and Staff Advisor for the Council Membership Committee. This evening, we will be doing our 2021 Fall Membership Kickoff. And to get things started, I want to do a few quick introductions. So first of all, Ivan Lewis, the North Cascades Membership Chair, will be one of our main presenters this evening. Ivan, please take a second and say hi.
Hi there.
And then to officially kick us off this evening, I would like to introduce Senior Vice President of Membership, Gary Hoffman, with a few opening words for us.
Thanks, Sven. What I'd like to do is pose a question. And the question is this: why is it so important that we grow the scouting movement in today's world? We're now in need of the scouting program and scouts more today than in most of our remembered past. Our communities, our cities, our states, and our country need strong leaders that understand that it's okay to have diverse opinions and points of view. Scouting movement works towards that, and I think that's important for us these days. Scouting helps our youth to develop self-confidence, ethics, leadership skills, academic skills, and citizenship skills that will forever influence their adult lives and how they interact with others as they grow and mature into productive adults and citizens. Scouts also have the opportunity to build lifelong relationships, belong to an organization that's focused on building citizens and that have a strong character and sense of civic responsibility. These are traits that have not been at the forefront recently, but are desperately needed for our future. It's our mission as scouts and scout leaders to find and present the scouting movement to as many youth as possible, that we have the citizens of tomorrow with strong character to take over the reins of leadership for the future. Our leader, our founder, Lord Baden-Powell, once said, an invaluable step in the character training is to put responsibility on the individual. It's our mission to recruit the next group of youth individuals so that they have the opportunity and the experience and the responsibility of leadership and the character building program that scouting provides. It's really important that we get out and we promote scouting and that we get as many of the youth as possible into the program. Thanks, and hope you enjoy the rest of the program tonight.
Thank you, Gary. So kind of kick us off a little bit, I wanted to take a moment and talk about our theme for our fall 2021 membership campaign. And this is a national theme that you'll see across the Boy Scouts of America this fall, and that is Escape the Indoors. The initial marketing campaign was Escape the Great Indoors, but after a year of quarantining and social isolating because of COVID-19, I think we can all ditch the great part of the indoors and just escape the indoors, get back to the outside. And one of the things that's important with this theme is to leverage not just the idea of getting out of the indoors that we've been kind of trapped in the last year and move towards what we have to offer as a scouting program. Baden-Powell called us a school of the woods, and that's what we have to put in front of families to offer to them for our program. And that is, we're escaping the indoors to get to the great outdoors so that we can get kids back in nature, back together in groups, having fun in this natural environment. So that leveraging that the fun that we have, not just the negativity of getting away from the indoors, but like I said, leveraging what's great stuff with that we have. So talk a little bit about our plan. I'm going to pass it over to Ivan to give us an overview.
Thanks, Sven. So the plan, we have four main pillars about how we've structured this year's membership plan. One, use Cub Scout Adventure Day and Haunted Camp as anchor points for all marketing, recruiting, and council-led communication efforts. Two, significantly increase spending on direct marketing efforts. Three, maximize the power of BScoutorg. And four, reduce the barriers to units delivering their quality program. So the thing about this plan is really about taking pressure off of off of our units to deliver program. As a Cub Master and as a member of the membership team, I often have to juxtaposition my thoughts in terms of how do we, as a unit, really maximize the tools that we have provided by district council and national program. And this plan is based around us really taking the pressure off the unit structure. And that is crucial with so many units in the reforming stage of really whether or not we have enough leaders or enough scouts or a place to meet. There's a lot of things that we're kind of having to struggle with. And our hope is to take the heavy lifting off the marketing side so that units can really maintain that storefront of the scouting movement and be able to really deliver great and phenomenal unit programming. So let's elaborate on that first point. All of our marketing efforts are going to be driven directly to these two anchor events. So the first being Cub Scout Adventure Day, October 2nd at Fire Mountain. The second being Haunted Camp, October 23rd at Fire Mountain. By doing these, by anchoring these in our marketing efforts, we're able to really focus in on BScoutorg as the method for reaching into the local unit. We're not going to try and identify every unit's join night in the marketing effort because that can be driven by the BScout. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But for us, being able to use these anchor points means that we can create flyers, print material, digital material, peer-to-peer cards, you name it. We're able to focus and anchor the date and then direct families to BScout.org to register for that event. And that gives us this ability to really push them into the unit where they're able to gain access to the storefront of the scouting movement, while at the same time allowing us a fixed point that we can really drive our efforts to.
So I am almost 40 years old. And I mentioned that simply because when I was 5, almost 6 years old, it was the end of kindergarten for me. I got a flyer in my box at school, and I can remember what that flyer looked like. It had some drawings on it of scouts in yellow shirts with the Cub Scout logo in the middle, doing different activities. And I grabbed that flyer, and I remember going home and showing it to my mom and saying, "This is what I want to do." I mention all of that because, like I said, I'm almost 40 years old. That was when I was 5 years old. The times, they are a-changing. And while flyers have been a critical cornerstone of our recruitment efforts in the Boy Scouts of America for probably the better part of the last 50 to 60 years, the last year of COVID has driven more of our institutions, more of our schools, and specifically to use digital tools to communicate what is going on in the community. And we as a council and as a scouting movement need to adjust to that change as well. And so the Mount Baker Council this fall still has paper flyers at the offices that we can provide for Cub Scout packs. But what we're using our dollars for, our membership dollars this year for, and our efforts and our focus is going to be providing more direct digital marketing to units. Specifically in Snohomish County, we have the Peach Jar system that is used by many of the school districts within Snohomish County. We're going to be paying for some of that development and moving that direction with that, and as well as some other options in North Cascades District. But we'll be paying for Facebook geofencing for some of these activities that Ivan was just talking about. But we're going to be trying to pull more of our information into that digital medium so that so parents can see it in the way that they're getting used to seeing information come across, which is not the kid bringing home a paper flyer, but looking at their phone, reading an email, seeing something on Facebook through those mediums. Now, with that, though, is that we have an important tool that we've spent probably the past 10 years really developing and things like that, and that is BScout.org. BScout.org, when it first launched, really wasn't a whole lot more than a Google map with some pins on it that showed you where our Cub Scout packs and Scout troops were meeting. It has grown significantly from those early days. It is now the portal for many families to find your Cub Scout pack. and want information through that. So keeping that up to date is mission critical. Number one is making sure that the information on that pin and the people who are administering it are up to date. Two is that it's an information lightning rod for interest in scouting, so that if I'm an interested parent and I find that pin, there's a button that says interest. They can fill out information. We need to get back to them as soon as possible with what's going on in our Cub Scout packs, so that that interest is fueled. And then last but not least is the BScout portal has now become the home of the online registration system. So membership, as all of you know, probably have three major components. Component one is the marketing, reaching out and connecting with people. Two is getting them that basic information, maybe coming to a join night, things like that, so that doing the sale of scouting. And then the last part is signing on the dotted line, filling out that application. And now BScoutorg really it's got its fingers in all three of those parts of the membership recruitment process. And so it behooves us, especially with something as easy as BScout.org, that we can verbally say, stick on yard signs, stick on flyers and everything else. It behooves us to make sure that when they go to that source, that it's accurate. And so that's going to be a major push this fall, is making sure that every single one of your units is, first and foremost, keeping it up to date, and then secondly is responding to the information that's coming in through that, be it interest or applications, so that families feel like they're being welcomed into the scouting program in the bscout.org portal.
So one of these, when we talk about reducing barriers to delivering quality unit program, we talk about kind of two elements. There's the delivery of a great outdoor program, and then there's our unit meeting program. And for our purposes here, I'm going to talk about two pieces of this. First is the delivering high quality outdoor program and delivering that promise of escaping the indoors. And so we have several council run turnkey events that units show up to. Can show up to, and what we have here in the fall is our Labor Day family camp, the girls hangout day, which will be a Webelos and Up girls climb day, the Cub Scout Adventure Day, the Webelo Re, the haunted camp, and then next year immediately be able to plan in the Memorial Day family camp as well. And these allow us to, with the family camps, this allows us to, a unit that doesn't have a Baloo trained leader quite yet, but still wants to offer a quality overnight camping experience. This is a really easy way for units to sign into that. The Cub Scout Adventure Day, of course, is the delivery of this program heavy camp experience. And so what I urge you, as my pack has done, is to identify these as the framework by which we're gonna set our program year, and then that frees us as unit leaders up to really focus on the unit specific events, that family hike, or your Pinewood Derby, your Blue and Gold. Those technically heavy events can be where you spend your time, and let us on the council side handle these really in-depth experiences. I will flag the Labor Day camp, family camp, is as you're thinking about putting camping experience on the calendar. This is again a great opportunity for us to take the scouts that we currently have registered and get them a kickstart to that great program year with an overnight outdoor experience right out the gate. Now, the second piece I mentioned was the meeting side of this, and there's a lot of logistical barriers that create this this obstruction to delivering quality unit programming, and those are everything that we experience from not having enough adults, or having too many new adults that don't have a lot of the institutional experience, not having enough scouts of one gender or another to have an ideally sized den. What we really are what we're strongly encouraging units to do is to not create a chicken and the egg scenario with programming. It's to really create an environment where we create a minimum benchmark and say we need to get scouts together. And for that, with Guide to Safe Scouting, we have this requirement that we have a certain number of adults. We come up with that minimum, and that's what we shoot for. Day one, that first meeting, if that's what we manage to accomplish, is that we get our scouts together with the right number of adults in a safe and appropriate environment, and we just explore what the scouting movement means. That's the right first step. So I really urge us to, if there's to reach out. There'll be additional resources besides this video, print materials that you're looking at here. Those print materials, I urge you to look through and see if there's anything that can help your unit deliver great unit programming, whether or not that's a turnkey mean plan, whether or not that's one of our resources directed back towards national, or whether or not that's you reaching out to your unit commissioner or to us on the membership side and asking if there's a way that we can help you navigate something that otherwise would be a barrier to just getting that great unit programming the way that we know how to do it.
So step one is figuring out when are you going to invite families to your pack to find out about scouting. And the reason why we start here more before we start anywhere else is that this is going to be the cornerstone of your pack's recruitment efforts this fall. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the dynamics of how a join night works, how many join nights you should have, things like that later in this presentation. But to start with, target that date and put it on a calendar. Now, if you look at that timeline of all of those activities, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that full timeline, and this will make sense as the presentation continues to move forward. But that first join night, that first opportunity that you want to give families to join the scouting program, really makes sense that week of September 12th. Because what that means is that you've got a week or two to connect with those families before Cub Scout Adventure Day. But by the same token, Cub Scout Adventure Day isn't a month away. You might have noticed, for those of you that have been doing this for a number of years, Cub Scout Adventure Day, formerly Cub Scout Stampede, used to be the middle of October. We've moved it up to the first weekend of October, so that it's not a month away. It's a couple of weeks. And so even if you have trouble getting families necessarily to come back the following week on the 21st or the 28th, whatever your meeting night is, things like that, you have that adventure day. You get them to the join night, you talk to them about your Cub Scout program. Maybe they're on the fence and whatnot, but within a couple of weeks, you can drop this great day out at Fire Mountain on them. They can come out, they can see how great scouting can be and whatnot, and go, wait, this is what we're going to be doing as a pack? Well, you're not going to be doing Cub Scout Adventure Day every day as a pack, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff you do in scouting. And hopefully that'll just help you seal the deal, seal their excitement and commitment for scouting, and move forward. But finding that spot on your calendar that works approximately that week, maybe it's a little bit earlier, maybe it's a little bit later, but you really want to be aiming for that September 12th kind of as the bullseye of that time frame of when you want to get a join night on your calendar to start making things happen. I know that is only a month and a half away, and that's why we're going to be pushing this presentation and those resources that Ivan mentioned earlier out as much as possible in August. Cub Scout packs need to be on their game, because the other thing is that most of the schools in the Mount Baker Council are returning to in-person classroom education in some shape or form, either on the 1st or 8th of September. Depending on the school district. There are outliers that are a little earlier, a little later, but they're often starting on a Wednesday on the 1st or 8th of September. And that is when parents are going to be looking for information about organizations to get their kids in this fall. So if we wait and we don't have something that first week of school to tell them, come to this meeting, get engaged, they're going to go find something else to have fun at. And we want them in scouting where we can have the most impact.
So in that same vein of getting something on the calendar, we're going to talk about pack check night in more detail here a little later in the presentation. But getting on the calendar a date that we can prepare for the great adventure that is escaping the indoors. And as we're preparing for that adventure, we really, like with any great adventure, we really need to do a pack check. We really need to check and make sure our essentials are there. We need to make sure that we're bringing the right stuff and not too much stuff, and that everybody has the right clothing for the right weather. This is the notion of this pack check. It is the ability for us to put on the calendar a date where we're going to get our existing families together, kick off popcorn, make sure that everybody has the resources they need going into the fall, make sure that they understand what the calendar looks like, and we've presented the general program overview of where the unit's headed. We distribute peer-to-peer recruitment cards, and we make sure everybody knows the details for the join night, and we have a dress rehearsal of being able to get our units back in the mode of scouting, back in the mindset of delivering great quality program before we bring in new families and have the pressure that's associated with a join night and the sell of our movement. And so ideally you want to work this around this preschool year so that we don't have the distractions of all of the other things that are kind of getting ready for school and getting ready for the join night. And so the week of the 22nd is kind of our target date. And again, we don't need anything more like the join night. This first step is identifying where, when, and how you're going to run this. It doesn't need to be the exact details. It's just about getting it pinned down on the calendar, and being able to have the date fixed. And we'll talk a little more in a moment about really how we kick this off.
So the number one thing that parents told us when we asked them what they were looking for in a youth program, the number one thing on their mind was safety. They wanted to make sure that the program that they put their kids into was safe. The number two thing that they said was, does the program have a plan? Does it have a calendar? Do they know what they're doing? And so the big concern from parents when they come into your Cub Scout pack, like I said, number one is going to be safety, but right on the heels of that is, do you guys know what you're doing? Do you guys have an idea of what's happening for the next several months? What's the commitment look like? And so doing some annual program planning and putting that plan together for your program, for your year. So following the school year, of some important dates like blue and golds, Pinewood derbies, pack meetings, when are den meetings going to be? Where are these things going to be? Month to month, what are some of the big items that we're going to be doing? So like I said, we've taken care of those big items for September and October, going through those months. So that should be easy for the first few months, but developing out your calendar as much as you can for the entire year. And by no means does this need to be written in concrete. This can be a pack calendar, and at the bottom you can even put it on your pack calendar. November 3rd, we're getting together for a pack calendar adjustment period. So you put together this program calendar, say this is what the plan is, but then give parents the opportunity in November to kind of come together as a group and say, we need to adjust the calendar a little bit. These are things these are issues that we're seeing coming forward and whatnot. And I know that for a lot of our Cub Scout packs going into this fall, one of the big issues with that is going to be, do we have enough leadership? Because a lot of families have left through the COVID year, and we might not have enough leadership for you to confidently say this is the plan. But what we're encouraging you to do is, if you're the Cub Master or the committee chair of a Cub Scout pack, sit down, put together a draft program, figure out how much it's going to cost, so that because that's number 3 question that parents ask is, how much does it cost? Well, you don't know the answer to how much something costs until you know what you're doing. So these 2 questions are tied together in ways that cannot be separated. Telling somebody that, you're going to collect $25 dues, well, what's that money for? What does that do? Or $100 dues, things like that. Being able to talk about some of those things. And so putting together your annual program plan and a draft budget that goes with that. And then if you feel the need to change it, be upfront with parents and say, this is our draft program calendar, but we want to give you an opportunity to give us input on it. But this is what our normal calendar year looks like. Take 2019, the last kind of normal year we had. Take that calendar, copy, paste, make some adjustments on with the dates, obviously, and kind of just put that out there and say, this is what we were doing before COVID. It's what we'd like to do again this year, but we're looking for input to make some of those changes. But it's so critical that on day 1, to be able to put that calendar in kids' hands, in parents' hands, so that they can get excited for your PAC program. Now, with that said, it also means that if you have dates out there, if you're changing your meeting night from Wednesday night to Monday night, or you're updating, the blue and gold banquet from February 14th to February 19th, or so on and so forth, as you go through changing those dates, make sure that you have a plan in place to go through and change your dates everywhere. If you have a PAC Google calendar, make sure that's up to date. If you have events on Facebook page, update those. It's so critical that you don't have bad dates floating out there, because a bad date, for an event and things like that, can be even more detrimental than no information at all. So one of the struggles we're going to be facing as a council, and we need your help with, for example, is by moving that Cub Scout Adventure Day 2 weeks earlier. We need to make sure that every PAC that maybe had the old date on it has all of that updated on whatever medians they have been using, so that we don't have families accidentally showing up on October 16th for Cub Scout Adventure Day. Now, fortunately, that'll be Cub Scout Weeblery that weekend, so there will be people at camp, but they're not going to be ready for random Cub Scout families to show up. So we need to be ready for with information that is correct and valid. And so as these dates have moved, we need to make sure we're changing those as your PAC calendar adjusts and twists and things like that, having a solid way of communicating that. You'll also notice that unit commissioner is on the list of people to make sure that they know what's going on, because they want to show up to your meetings. It's a commissioner's worst nightmare to show up 3 weeks in a row to a DEN meeting or a PAC meeting and no one be there, because all he or she can worry about now is, did the PAC fold? What's going on? What's happening? So let your commissioner know so they can render assistance and bring resources to help you with those kind of things. So again, update your calendars.
So now that we've got these things fixed in time, and again, I want to reiterate the importance of creating fixed points. For me, as a Cub master, I have a tendency to wait for the details to fall into place, and I'm still trying to hunt something down, or I'm still waiting to get a confirmation from this one or that one, and things get pushed a little too long. Once we have something actually fixed, we don't need the details yet. We don't need to know the exact elements of how the program will lay out. We don't need to know exactly what volunteers are going to be where yet. What we need is to know the date, time, and location. And so once we have those things fixed, the date, time, and location of the join night, we already have that fixed time and location of the adventure day. The ability for us then to promote is driven to these fixed dates. And so I really want to stress that there's no place not to put these dates. It's great to get these dates everywhere. Get these dates, update your unit pen to include the dates, and get that out there. Facebook events are great share amongst families, but it's also posters at a community location. It is if the local library is running an event, a fair, displays, it is our community farmers markets, parades, fairs. It is community social media groups like Facebook groups and Nextdoor. These are all opportunities for us to just share the date. Scouting as a movement we don't always need to be selling the program. A lot of times it sells itself really well when we just make sure we eliminate the barrier for a new family to join Scouting. And that barrier is often when and where and how. And so if we can say, here's the date, here's the time, here's the location of this join night, come and experience our unit and see Scouting, we help eliminate that barrier. So promoting this literally anywhere you can once you have your date is crucial. And I'll also add, in terms of anchoring dates, that the same is true for our regular unit meetings. I know for a lot of us, we're struggling to still find confirmed meeting locations for the fall, and that's okay. Find the next meeting time, find when that is going to be, where it's going to be, and be able to use that date and that time to create that fixed point. So pack check night, as I mentioned earlier, is more than just a first pack meeting or den meeting, and it's something different from our join night. The experience of us, or the experience for us as units, being able to bring in our existing families and to do the kind of technical work that we need to get our unit back started for the year. If we've taken the summer off or we've had trouble connecting, it's about kicking off popcorn. It's about distributing those pack calendars and other pack documents. It's about collecting our dues and unit dues and national fees, preparing for charter. It's about making and or distributing peer-to-peer cards for units or for scouts to get out there and give their friends. And it's about us reconnecting as a unit. So being able to hold our pack check night at our normal meeting place is great. However, if we have the ability to get out on a weeknight in a local park and bring a frisbee or a ball and run our pack check there, we also have the added advantage of showing off our unit and showing off Scouting to our community. So don't be afraid to use a different venue. Just make sure that we are articulating when and where to our families in again, these fixed points for easy and effective marketing.
So now we've got our join night that we've got all planned out. We've got it going forward. Now, one of the things that I really want to stress with join night is that it's about the new families. Don't make this your first pack meeting. Families come to that meeting night. Like I said earlier, they want to know your plan. They want to know what you're doing, what you have to offer. They've got questions. They're there. They showed up because they've got questions and they want answers. And you're the best person to give it to them of how your pack operates and what you're going to be doing. So we're going to go through some of the best practices for setting up a join night and what that should look like to help facilitate that. But the first step is committing as a pack to holding this join night separate from all of your other programs. It should be ideally on your normal meeting night, but making sure that your join night is a part of welcoming people in. It's not a part of, like Ivan was talking about, the popcorn kickoff, giving out ranks for what was going on during the summer, things like that, because that's distracting away from answering the questions of those new families. And it's one of those things where you might only have 3 or 4 families show up to your first join night. And it could feel like it was a waste of 45 minutes or an hour of your time, whatever it took to make that happen. And that comes into a second chance join night. We're asking this year for 2 join nights. The first one in September to fulfill that need of families that are looking for something right out of the gate from the beginning of school. The second join night is in October, and that's to catch those families that couldn't make the first join night, or maybe they thought they were going to go in a different direction. They were going to do a different activity, but it didn't work out for their family, or it wasn't what they were looking for, or maybe they just didn't hear about the first one. Maybe they missed the post, or they deleted the email by accident, or so on and so forth. Things happen. That's life. So having a second join, that second chance to catch families, and what we're doing is focusing that on October, theming the idea around kind of the Halloween. October has so many fun theme-oriented things that you can do as a pack to invite those families in. It's okay for that second join night to be a little more normal Cub Scout program oriented and a little less just welcome format oriented, but the better join night that you can have where you're prepared to welcome families in. And like I was talking earlier with the first join night, the anchor point for that is Cub Scout Adventure Day. 2 weeks later, bam, you're at camp, you're having a great time at Cub Scout Adventure Day. The anchor point for that second join night is the haunted camp. So the idea is that hold your second join night sometime in October, close enough to the haunted camp event, which is on October 23rd, where you're not asking families to wait 3 or 4 weeks before we fulfill the promise. Give it a week or two before between your join night and that October 23rd event. So time it right for your pack and what you're looking to do, but having that meeting and inviting families in, and then giving that opportunity to, again, immediately, bam, go out to Fire Mountain and have a great day. So we're going to talk a little bit about the dynamics of how the join night works, and creating that environment. So you'll notice on the image that we've got a couple of stations. So in a quote unquote perfect world, these would be all tables, and you might even have big signs that say Station 1, welcome, Station 2, what we do, things like that. But there's a lot of different ways of facilitating these stations in fun ways, in dynamic ways, like with registration and paperwork. Like I said earlier, we're more and more moving to a digital medium that might not be physical paper applications. In fact, we encourage you to not use physical paper applications. If they're ready to register, having computers, having laptops, or letting them use their smartphones to register online through the Be a Scout portal, and being prepared to do that instead of having a bunch of pens and paper. And that will say a lot about your pack also, and the way that you want to be prepared with that. Having paper though, and being able to say, oh, you don't have a smartphone, or the computers aren't your thing, here's a piece of paper, also says a lot about your pack, and be prepared. So we'll go through each of these stations. Station number 1 is you walk in the door, welcome to Cub Scouting. You want somebody that's excited, dynamic, a big giant grin on their face, welcoming them to this program. And this could be at a park. So again, this doesn't need to be walking through the door. This could be the parking lot is station number 1, welcome. Somebody there greeting them at the car and saying, welcome to our pack. We're excited to spend some time with you this evening. This individual should ideally have some basic paperwork to kind of immediately put in their family's hands of, here's some basic information about Cub Scouting, parent orientation guide, so they instantly can start opening up paperwork and getting some of those answers, so that the rest of these stations are more meaningful questions and answer times. But they can see, oh, wow, there's all this great information. You don't want to overwhelm them with a million pieces of paper. That's why we encourage that new Scout Parent Orientation Guide, which we'll have a draft of on the council website. But you want to have enough in materials. The other thing is that you want to make sure that you collect every parent that shows up that evening. You want to collect their information. So some kind of a sign-in system. It could be a clipboard that they sign in at. It could be, like I said, sitting on a table with a pen. It could be a Google form that, with a QR code that they go to and sign in to let you know that they were at the pack, whatever you want to do. Second station, this is the sale. So you want somebody who understands the pack program, understands the calendar, can talk about the cost of scouting and what it costs to scout, but you also want somebody who knows all of that information and the impact that it's had on their son or their daughter. It is so critical to have a parent standing at that table that can say, I'm an Eagle Scout. But that said, since I've become a parent, I've stopped talking about what scouting does for me. And I start talking about what scouting has done for my sons and my daughter, because that ultimately is so much more important to me. And it's so much more impactful. Yes, being an Eagle Scout, being in scouting saved my life. It was a huge part of what I did as a youth. But at the What We Do station, this is where you want to talk to them about, this is the program we do. This is the fun and excitement of Pinewood Derby. This is the fun and excitement of camping. But then put the exclamation point on it. Oh, and by the way, my kids are better people because of this program. There aren't a lot of youth organizations that can honestly say that they have all of this fun and it does this for their kids. And so, like I said, having that right person picked out that can say that with conviction can be huge and critical. Second, registration paperwork. So you've sealed the deal. One of the things that we want to make sure we do is do the registration paperwork. And again, this could be through the online system. That's what we're encouraging this year, collecting them, because one of the things that we really don't want to do is accidentally lose a kid because of recharter. Our recharter date has moved up to October 31st this year, from December 31st, which means that we need to get these kids registered now, get them in the system today, make recharter that much easier for everyone, and make sure that next year they're still in the system. There's none of this, oh, I can't find Johnny in Scout Book. Just make that happen right out of the gate. They showed up to this evening, and it's our job to make sure that we sold it to them well enough that they feel comfortable doing that, or at the very least at that registration paperwork table, you spend the time explaining to them, this is how you register in the Boy Scouts of America. Please do it by X date. We would love to see you next week at this meeting, have this paper application filled out, or feel free to email or call me anytime, do it online, shoot me a message when it's done. I will go in and approve it immediately so that this is online, because we want to make sure that we seal the deal. So, and then the checkout, again, this is oftentimes been kind of focused on the money side of things. But what we want to be sure that we're doing is on their way out is talking to them a little bit about some of the stuff that we want to make sure that they know before they leave. Where's the Scout office? How do I buy a handbook? How do I buy, what is a neckerchief important, or is the blue shirt important, or do I need to have a hat? We don't necessarily want them to kind of trip and fall over some of it. We know we've all been there. We've all asked those questions because we've all been new at this at some point. And with that said, we can kind of put some of that information out to them right up front, and have some of those flyers and information right there. And then the last but not least is, this is where we give them the opportunity. Hopefully we've given them all of the information they need to know what's going on, and they're going to go to Q&A, and their questions they're not going to have questions. They're going to simply look at you and go, this is great. I can't wait. This is fantastic. And that's what they have to share with you. But at the same time, this is the catch of, do you have any questions before you leave here? Ask the question. My first year doing membership recruitment was in 2007. The Boy Scouts of America had just changed their uniform to the new quote unquote centennial uniform. And one of the changes that happened with that was the new zip off pants. And I remember being at recruitment events, and that was one of the number one questions people asked was, they asked me, why are some of the leaders in this room wearing these zip off pants and some of them aren't? And so, because it was something that we didn't address it in any of the materials, but that was a concern parents was having. They saw some people in one uniform and other people in another uniform, and they were worried they were going to buy the wrong uniform for their kid. And they wanted to know, what's the answer? I don't want to screw this up. Tell me the answer. So giving them an opportunity to ask whatever question it might seem as silly as, why is this person wearing zip off pants? That's a kind of a silly question, but not for that parent. So give them the opportunity to do that.
So let's talk timeline. So we've talked about all of these bits and pieces. Let's try and put this together the best we can. If we haven't already done our PAC planning conference, now's the time. Again, don't let it be a barrier. Don't wait until everything's perfect. Just get it on paper. That's all we need to do. If everything on that calendar after the join night says hike in November, date and location to be determined, that's okay. It's okay if we don't quite have all the details yet as we look into the year. What's important is having the pieces in place that new families have a feel for our program. As soon as possible, update your unit pin, including the Joint Scout Night information. We will have resources for sample language for the more information section of the unit pin on BScoutorg, and we can actually add quite a bit of content. So it's possible to have your unit's normal meeting night and location listed, as well as the information for your join night specifically on that unit pin at one time, and it should be updated to include that. As early as we can, identify our back to school needs, night needs and access. So if we are going to be able to get back to a back to school night in elementary schools PTA or a sign up days, a registration days event, or a school's ice cream social, now's the time to identify this. And again, as a reminder, if as a unit leader, you don't know someone personally within an elementary school you serve, ask your parents if anyone knows anyone within the PTA, PTO, or the principal of the school. Get on the calendar that the week of August 22nd, the pack check night, and make sure that we're ready to launch our unit and into the fall. The end of August is typically when these back to school events occur. And again, make sure that we have as much presence as we can establish. September 3 through 6, the Labor Day Family Camp, the deadline to register is the 22nd of August. We strongly encourage that you use this as an opportunity for your units, your families to go camping as a family camp, as a family camping experience, but together. When you register, ask your units to include in the section of the registration that says, would you like to camp with any other families? Put your pack number, and we'll make sure that that your whole pack is together in a campsite and can have that family camping experience, but also be doing this in a great unit environment. The week of September 12th, your join night. Again, there's some variability as to when it's right, but ideally school is started, but we haven't gotten so close to the adventure day that we lose the ability to maximize that. September 25th, the girls' hangout day. Again, this is Webelos and older. This is really gearing itself towards a push for us to acknowledge our need to tip the scales of peer-to-peer with more girls in our movement. And that means offering some girl-specific recruiting events allows us to get to that tipping point to where there's enough Scouts BSA girls that they're able to achieve that gold standard of peer-to-peer. October 2nd, the Cub Scout Adventure Day. Again, we're delivering that promise of escaping the indoors, getting to a great outdoor program, and we want PACs to embrace these events as their own. There's no need to encourage or imply these as council events. Embrace them as your event. The Cub Scout Adventure Day should be insert pack number Adventure Day. For me, that's the pack 4058 Cub Scout Adventure Day. That's what my units or my families will hear me say. That's the promotion we do in-house. And so that when they're coming up there, I'm asking them to arrive at a specific time to look for me with my unit flag or my banner, and to make this a pack event that is being delivered by the council. And then October 11th is our second chance join night. The week of the 11th is ideal, giving us enough time for haunted camp promotion. Again, remember the council will be leveraging these events to our marketing campaign, and so identifying the right dates for your join night will help maximize that your unit's advantages. Now, again, the second chance join night in October, this is a great time for this to be a little bit more on the program side. If you're going to have a meeting, maybe a fall carnival or a Halloween themed or fall themed event, having that program happening while you're running your join night structure the same way is a great way to tie the two together without losing an evening of great quality program, while at the same time still, as we've said, being able to focus on the main goal of joining scouting. And then Webelos Re October 16th. We really want to ensure that that we get that outdoor experience for our Webelos scouts, and October 16th becomes that really easy turnkey way for us to get those Webelos camping. And then finally on this timeline, October 23rd is our haunted camp. Again, being that last real easy fall turnkey program of directed marketing. And within this timeline, the things that we want you to think about structuring is, again, as many easy opportunities to take advantage of this for your unit as possible. Anywhere you can tie in something that helps leverage your unit's delivery of program, whether or not that's a theme or whether or not that's just the anchor point of knowing it's coming, take advantage of these resources to really maximize your unit's programming.
So before we step off from the timeline of events conversation, something I want to add is that a lot of Cub Scout leaders, during the summer, they look at a list of dates and events like this, and it can be a little intimidating, especially if you don't have a PAC annual program plan yet in place, where you don't know what your fall is going to look like. And you're thinking about popcorn, and you're thinking about the recharter that needs to get done, and you're thinking about the just all of the normal rigmarole of getting back into school the fall, and then you're probably getting your own kids ready for that. It's a lot of work. It can be very stressful. One of the things I want to underscore is this timeline has some hard fixed points. Cub Scout Adventure Day is October 2nd. Not going to move again. That's a fixed point on the calendar. But a lot of these things are flexible events, and how you use them can be a little flexible. Like I said, we have a target week for your join nights, but if it needs to be a little earlier or a little bit later, with the idea of pushing that Cub Scout Adventure Day after your first one and the haunted camp after the second one, that's okay. Look at your calendar, see what you can do. What we're asking though is don't short sell yourself by cutting out some of these things, thinking it'll be easier. And by the same token, like Ivan mentioned, the Mount Baker Council is going to be investing in flyers and geofencing and information being pushed out about Cub Scout Adventure Day and Haunted Camp and some of these other things. This is not going to be a situation where you can call us and say, we don't want Cub Scout Adventure Day on the flyer. That's not going to happen. Cub Scout Adventure Day will be on the flyer. Now, if your daughter's birthday is October 2nd and there's just no way you're going to Cub Scout Adventure Day, we totally understand. But you need to understand, we're going to be promoting Cub Scout Adventure Day. And so it's one of those things, don't take chunks of this out because it adds stress. Because here's the thing is, you're going to have a family. If you choose to not promote Cub Scout Adventure Day, or you choose not to share any information about Haunted Camp, your families are going to find out, and they're going to come to you and they're going to say, hey, Cub Master, what's this Cub Scout Adventure Day, and why isn't our pack doing it? And Frank, even if it's not something that you personally can do, or that the pack, like I said, that information is going to be there, and we really want to see them come. So lean on these activities, lean on these events as opportunities for your families to go. If it's not something that every family can do, that's fine too. That's the great thing about Cub Scout Adventure Day. It's something for the families to come and do. You don't have to show up as an entire pack. It's not something you have to invest a huge amount of time and energy for your pack to do. That's the whole point, is that this is supposed to be, as Ivan keeps saying, this is a turnkey thing. Furthermore, for some of our packs that are really struggling with volunteers and leadership, maybe you only have one den leader or 2 den leaders maybe for the whole pack at the moment. You don't know how you're going to operate those den programs. We are currently working on outlines for, again, turnkey program, basic Cub Scout program that's fun and engaging, that allows you to mix and mingle some of these dens together for these first few months, based around these themes of escaping the indoors, being in the outdoors again, as well as some haunted Halloween kind of stuff for the October things. But these are basic programs that we can put in your toolbox so that you don't feel overwhelmed. Because these are supposed to be really simple things, so that if you need that help, you can look at that plan and go, that's easy, I can do that. Because we know that the national program plans, some of them can be overwhelming, especially at a time like this during COVID. So look at this timelet events not as a rigid I-beam. Think about this more like Gumby. Flexible, you can wrap it around, you can move it around, you can even create a ball out of them. But what you can't do is destroy part of Gumby. Gumby is always Gumby. You can reform it into a bunch of different shapes and stuff, but all of Gumby is always there. So these are the parts that we're asking you to try to incorporate into your fall membership plan. If you need to move them around a little bit, reshape them for your pack's purposes, that's okay. That we will work with you with that. And by that same token, a lot of these dates, like your check night, your join nights, involvement in some of these activities, things like that, this is information that your district membership chairs are going to be calling you about. This is going to, your district directors are going to be calling you about. Your unit commissioners are going to be calling you about, because we are very interested. We're excited to come to these activities. I can tell you, as a professional Boy Scout, the last year of not being able to visit my scouts, not being able to visit my unit, and to sit around and talk with my den leaders and my Cub masters and scout masters across the entire district, that was the most exhausting part of the last year. It wasn't sitting at a computer with Zoom meetings, or it wasn't not having events, and it was not being able to visit units. And so we are super excited to come to your join nights, to come to your check night, and be part of that experience as well. So we're going to be calling you, looking for that information. We want to know when it is, but also we're really excited to tell everyone about it. So share that information with us so that we can share it with everyone else that we meet on the street. So with that, thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation, to learn about how to grow scouting. Scouting was founded in 1907 by Baden-Powell because he saw a problem in the world around us. He saw that the boys in England were not being raised into the men that the British Empire needed. And now that was in 1907, it didn't take him very long to realize that it wasn't just English boys, it was boys around the world. And now here we are in 2021, and it's boys, it's girls, it's families, it's everyone. Scouting is the largest youth organization in the world with almost 55 million members. And you're one of them. You're part of that movement to create a better world by instilling in our children the values of the Scout Oath and Law, and by living them ourselves. So thank you so much for what you do for scouting. Thank you for being part of this program. And thank you so much for going out and asking that one more family, that one more kid, to join us on the trail and enjoy scouting. Have a great night.